everyone, Kuro the Artist here. 2 years after Race Against Time, Ben 10's first live-action film, we got its sequel, also directed by Alex Winter. It might be hard to believe, but Alien Swarm was intended to be a true sequel to Race Against Time, set in the same continuity. Lee Majors was even set to reprise his role as Max, but was recast after his schedule wouldn't allow him to commit to the project. Now, as some of you know, I already did a video on this film with Diamond Bolt back in the day, but as I am committed to finishing a full breakdown series of the entire Prime franchise, I didn't want to skip this one just because I've already talked about it. But you can still check out that video if you haven't already, I'll link it down below. But this video is kind of different anyways because it's in my breakdown style, where I talk about the production, the filmmaking, the effects, the execution, and a ton of behind the scenes trivia thrown in. There's a lot to say about this movie, but if this is your first breakdown and you're curious about how my rating system works, there's the detailed description down below, along with a link to all of my previous videos. But feel free to watch this one first, I'm sure you'll still enjoy it. I've also temporarily reopened my commissions for an exclusive live stream that's happening a few hours after this video goes live today. Catch the live stream on the Rust Bucket, our second channel, with the link below. I will be drawing characters, aliens, and whatever else you're able to commission me, and for the specific rules, please check out that video. Jim Krieg, a series regular, teams up with John Turman, who worked on films such as the 2003 Hulk and Rise of the Silver Surfer, to write Ben 10 Alien Swarm, first premiering November 25th, 2009. Elena, Ben's alleged first crush, resurfaces seeking help after her father mysteriously disappears after researching some alien chips. We later find out that the chips have possessed her father, Victor, an ex-plumber. Now a slave to the Hive, they plan to spread their chips throughout the world to enslave humanity, and it's up to Elena and the trio to stop them. Bellwood Hardware. Might be a little nod to the previous film Race Against Time. Oh, actually in Race Against Time it was Miller's Hardware. But hey, Bellwood's a big city. And there's Kevin's car. In the show it's an ambiguous muscle car, but here it's a modified 2009 Dodge Challenger. Gotta say, it really fits with the show. They did a great job making this live action. A Little Faster gets a lot of love, but this song's pretty good too. This is Sharks by Red Fang. I think it's the movies that really gave the impression that rock is sort of Ben's central music choice, whereas in classic it's more of like electronic orchestra. UAF is definitely orchestra. And then OV goes full electronic. But rock works very well for Ben 10 too. Missed out on a rock version of the Alien Force theme though, like what we got in Race Against Time. A lot of emphasis on Kevin's car here. It was quite a meme in the Diamond Bolt video, but it's true. I think in an effort to make the film seem more mature than the first one, the hooks were more realistic, graspable things for teenagers at the time, like cars and music, rather than, you know, aliens, even though the show's about aliens. I don't know why, but I really fuck with this guy. I just like the strange oddball characters. Fitz right here is played by Eric Mendenhall.
What have you got for me, Fitz?
And the first person who talks in this film is Kevin.
This is big. Show me.
Kevin right here is played by Nathan Keys. I think he was pretty good casting. So this whole thing is kind of reminiscent of a drug deal. See tons of different emphasis on all of these shots. Although they are pretty good shots too though. Some of them seem a bit tricky to capture just right, but Alex Winter did a pretty good job. It's a lot of shots though. There's Elena. So I always like to check reflections to see if you could see any cast or crew. It looks like they did a pretty good job hiding everyone. You can still see Kevin in his car in the reflection though, but that makes sense. He should be there. I love their outfits as well.
What are you selling?
Alien technology, good stuff.
What's paint?
Classic Kevin line. Helio here is played by Jeremy DeCarlos. I like these guys too. I don't know, just something about the vibe of this movie.
What is it? You don't know?
You don't know, do you?
This guy's just trying to sell him some random shit. Gotta pay the bills.
Let me talk to my partners.
Alright, so Kevin drove here. So did Gwen like sneak out of the car to hide behind here? Or did she come here earlier? Ben too. Like, how the fuck did they get here without Kevin's car?
Kevin doesn't really work, he just stands around flexing his muscles.
Yeah, how about I flex them in your face?
That dialogue does seem straight out of the show, though. Script writing's very accurate. So, of course, Ben Tennyson himself here is played by Ryan Kelly. We actually did an interview with him a while ago, and he gave us some pretty cool facts about the film. Go check that out. Gwen right here is played by Galadriel Steinman. They all do a pretty good job. It's more of a grounded feel for the characters. As you know, the animated series is more expressive and whatnot, but in a live-action setting, you can only take that so far. But I still think they do a pretty pretty good job with the characters. Although it is hard to buy that they're all 15 right now, but I mean, that's all television.
I've never seen anything like them, Ben. Grade 9 tech at least.
Should be level 9, but alright.
Whatever they are, they're screwing up the Omnitrix.
Of course it is. Can't have a Ben 10 movie without fucking with the watch.
They're not just black market lowlives like you. They're plumbers.
So I know it doesn't matter, but it does make you wonder, like, what's Elena's relationship to these bikers? Like, is she here just to make this meeting, or is she, like, friends with these dudes?
You mean they're gonna pay for this stuff by fixing my toilet?
Secret interplanetary security force.
Always gotta find a way to introduce the concept of the plumbers, too.
How did you learn about these plumbers you think we are?
Good save, Ben.
Elena?
Now, this confused the shit out of me when I first watched this, because it was like, the reveal to me implied that you're supposed to know who this character is, especially since it's based off the animated series. But she was never in any of the previous episodes or even mentioned at all, so I felt like I was missing something. But no, this is her true first character introduction.
Still remember me. I'm honored.
Elena here is played by Alyssa Diaz, who, when she starts making animated appearances, I wish she also voiced the character.
Hello? Can anyone toss me a clue as to what's going on here?
Some of the dialogue's a little bit cheesy, though, I'll admit that.
She's a plumber's kid.
Then Elena's dad quit, and you moved away and we haven't heard from you since.
Alright, I'm glad we're getting this exposition for the audience's sake, but why are they talking about this in front of all these random dudes? Like, so much for top secret, right?
You tell me.
And there's Daddy Vladius right now.
Plumbers don't exactly advertise. It's my father. He's been abducted.
Call the cops.
Yeah, Nathan Keys is so Kevin. Also, there are other ways to contact the plumbers, but we don't need to get into that. The CG looks really good on this, not even just for a TV film. You never really get a solid look at the Omnitrix the whole film, though. That's one thing that Race Against Time did better, is it really showed off the Omnitrix. Here, you gotta, like, pause to really see it. It's not a bad prop. Nothing really more special than what you could buy at Walmart, but it's accurate. Although, if you look at it, with the texture lines and the way the dial reacts, it's almost like the display is some type of screen that's fidgeting. It's a very neat effect. I'm glad that Gwen gets a chance to use her powers in this film, since she couldn't in the first one. Well, not that she couldn't, they just didn't do it. But the way it's animated with, like, the pink glow and the ripples and everything, it very much resembles Eon's powers in Race Against Time. I was just about to say, like, she does more energy attacks and constructs like shields and whatnot. But look at this right here, she actually makes a shield. I never caught that before. See, we give a lot of flack for the lack of aliens in this movie, and granted, I still feel like ultimately it does suck that we barely get any aliens in a show based on aliens. But there's a lot of CG they have to cover in this. Gwen and Kevin's powers, the nanochips, the different locations. So when you factor all of those things in, it is pretty impressive. But yeah, I do want to see Ben transform into more aliens. But Kevin absorbing stuff is cool too. You can see him get coated in the chipped paint and rust and everything, mimicking the texture of what he's absorbing. Although you still don't really get a good look at it in this film. They hide the CG almost too much where you can't even enjoy it.
I know someone who can!
I love that his voice changes when he absorbs stuff, though. That's really cool. But then he immediately unabsorbs, something he wouldn't need to do. Kevin normally stays in his armored forms until the end of a fight, so this is probably just to save on budget. I wonder why only some of the chips are being controlled and not all of them. Yeah, see, all of this definitely eats their budget. And they're all great scenes, but you know, it's Ben 10. Give me some more Ben 10, know what I'm saying? Daddy Vladdy's pulling the chips in. All of a sudden it works now, alright. Odd that he wants Spider Monkey against the chips though. We do get some alien teases. You can see Swamp Fire's hologram, then Echo Echo. We close up again on Echo Echo a little bit. Cannonbolt? Or, oh no, that's probably Humongosaur. That's Spider Monkey's hologram though. But again, I wish these weren't so obscured. I want to be able to like see these and appreciate them. How do you guys feel about Ben morphing into his aliens in this film rather than the typical Flash? I forgot where I either read or heard it, but it was intentional to do it that way to make it seem more realistic. And honestly, I do dig it. But you know, the Flash is more of a Ben 10 aesthetic, so you win some, you lose some. They get about halfway up Ben's body before they save the CG swap with a wipe. Although right here, Big Chill doesn't have his cloak or his wings. They're all bound back in his backpack right here, or whatever. And they flap out.
Big Chill!
So the background's an actual plate that they shot, and when the camera finally focuses on Big Chill and zooms in, I think they swap out the background for a still image taken from the actual shot. So if you notice, everything's all fixed now and it doesn't move anymore. But Big Chill translates very well to live action. I wish he was a little bit more blue. This is still in the era where everything was super muted, and everything still kind of is. I mean, look at Marvel right now. We got the Scarlet Witch wearing brown over here. But for the model itself, it looks great. I'm very happy with this.
That'll work.
You can see his mouth move though when he talks. That's new.
Hold on, Gwen.
Unlike Race Against Time, none of the aliens get recast, and Big Chill is still portrayed by D. Bradley Baker. Look at that mouth stretch though. It's so amusing to look at. Should have phased. Yeah, I'm trying to take in the clear shots of Big Chill while I can. But see, this is a much better solution than whatever the fuck Spider Monkey was gonna do. And I get, like, maybe he thought he'd do this with his webs, but ice is much more useful in this situation. I can't tell if the ice falling on them right here is CG or not. They might have actually thrown ice at them.
Are you alright?
Lots of whipping sounds for his wings.
Who is that guy, Elena?
I don't know.
You don't recognize your own dad? He's not even wearing a mask. That's cool. One last good shot at Big Chill. His wings are very bat-like.
Gwen, are you okay?
Another pretty good morph right there. It's all done in one take, it seems. Even the shadows react to the morph. So this whole opening scene, yeah, great way to start the film.
Who is that guy?
Oh, now everything's covered in ice. This is probably CG, but I think the ice on the floor is real.
If you're looking for your girlfriend.
Oh, speaking of girlfriend, it kind of sucks that Julie doesn't show up. Although it's true to Ben 10 nature that they forget about Julie, so... And rock version of the Alien Force theme. Come on, that would have been a great way to flash the title card. We kind of just got it at the beginning of the film. This would have been a dope lead up to it. Look at that, 8 exhaust ports. Jesus, Kevin. Must be that Coros 5 engine block.
That old girl's gonna need new pistons, there's no getting around it.
So Big Ed here, played by Patrick Cox, he's wearing a similar jacket that Kevin usually wears in season 3. It would have been great to see Ed and this whole setting in the show too. It gives Kevin a significant location to retreat to instead of just his garage constantly. She followed him. He just takes Ed's pizza.
I don't recognize it, and
So you see one wrench has a key dangling at the end of it, but it's really hard to catch. As much as I like this movie, they really do not do a good job making sure the important things are captured in frame.
The sooner we get that under the scanner.
There we go. See that close up on the chip when they're talking about it? That's how most things should be in this film.
I don't get what you see in him.
She doesn't even have an answer. She's like, I don't either. But a secret elevator is also sort of reminiscent to Race Against Time, except that one was in Miller's Hardware. Honestly, they could have just reused that to tie the films together more.
Systems up.
Now this right here is famously known to be at the Georgia Aquarium. I actually went last year with the whole Ink Tank crew.
This is it right here. This is where they shot Plumber HQ in Ben 10 Alien Swarm. Hi, we're actually here. We're here. We made it.
Everyone was there. Kellen, Fro, Hershey, Ash. Check out that vlog in the link down below. Ah, see, so close. If they just peek the camera to the right a little more. Let me see that watch, boy. See, this is kind of hard to imagine Ben doing some computer work and all of that. In the show, he'd probably just make Kevin or Gwen do it. I do like seeing Ben have some smarts. I'm just saying, like, normally he doesn't do this kind of thing.
Engaging. Molecular density is inert.
Molecular density is inert? That's just some science mumbo jumbo. They're trying to say like the chips aren't currently alive right now, but those words don't mean anything.
It's also a carbon silicon-based life form.
So is Echo Echo.
The Echo Echoes are made of silicon.
And Chromastone.
Indestructible super dense silicon, guys!
Lots of silicon in this show.
Let me see if I can trace where they came from.
Oh, and Gwen's trying to use her tracking magic too. I really like the smaller details like that too. I kind of only remember Gwen shooting like magic bolts in this movie, but she does do other things.
I can't pick up any energy signature.
That happens a lot in the show too, though.
We should just find Elena and ask her where they came from.
You can't trust her.
Even if they don't trust her, they could still ask and see what information she has, or at least whatever information she's lying about.
Max.
Trust me to do what?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest pet peeves with the movie, is the trio calling him Max. It's either Grandpa Max or Grandpa. Like, they seldom call him Max. Perhaps it was written to be a sign of, like, maturity to separate this from the first movie and be like, oh, they're calling each other their first names to be on the same level as them. But still, Grandpa's Grandpa.
Hey, Hey, Grandpa.
There you go, Gwen.
That sounds like a pretty good combo.
So Max right here is played by Barry Corbin. Doesn't quite feel like the Max we know. Lee Majors didn't really either, but he kind of like made Max his own character, the stern, ex-military southerner type. Whereas Barry Corbin's Max, it's really hard to get a read on him. Like, I feel like I don't know what kind of character he's trying to make Max.
Looks familiar. Seen that somewhere before.
He's still southern though.
Better not touch my model train set.
That's nice to hear that Max has some hobbies. But Max has an office?
You're gonna be one fried.
So this is cool. You see his skin bulge a little bit before turning into the material. So it's like instead of just simply getting coated in the material, his outer skin is transforming into it. Not sure how I feel about the flash though. It's probably to signify something is happening to the viewers because it's very dark down here. Outside of that, doesn't make much sense.
Babe?
It's a Validus. You hadn't seen those before.
He's really about to shoot this 15-year-old right now.
He's been kidnapped by whoever or whatever made those chips.
Oh, you can kind of see the crew in this little reflective ball here, but I mean, how are you going to cover that up?
Your sweet old grandpa turned his back on us 3 years ago.
3 years ago, she would have been 12. But earlier, he said he knew her when they were 13. So were Ben and Elena still talking even a year after Max betrayed them?
Can't we just talk to her?
No, Ben. Anything she said would be a lie.
I've never seen Grandpa Max this sternly against anybody before. Maybe Colonel Rosem, even then that's not till Ultimate Alien. And it would make more sense in the show because this would be a subversion of Max's personality. But in the context of just this movie, right off the bat, this is really how you're seeing Max. So this is the kind of person you think he is throughout the film. And from the Grandpa Max we know and love, that's a little disappointing.
Thanks for being a real friend.
What's wrong with you?
There's a lot wrong with her. She's Victor Validus' daughter.
Oh my god, Max. Even if he had a feud against her grandfather, like, why are you freaking hating on this little girl right now?
Dr. Victor?
So we get some actual dates here. 2006 is when he was last seen, which lines up with the 3 years ago, but this goes all the way back to, from what we can see, 2000. Doing alien surveillance. He's 48, from Mexico, bilingual, and even has a plumber ID.
Best plumber I ever trained.
Frickin' of course he was. Max has a horrible track record with his old plumber buddies.
He was caught stealing alien technology from our vaults. Same stuff Elena was stealing.
You lied to us.
We're too young to understand.
See, now that makes sense, but again, like, this hard-ass betrayal of Grandpa. See, I feel like Grandpa Max would try to be a little more persuasive with his argument, like trying to really explain to Ben that this is what he thought was right. Whereas here, he's almost scolding Ben for being offended that he was lied to.
We are going by the book.
Also, Max is kind of known for doing things off the book in his own way as well. Here, it seems like he's a real stickler for the rules. Out of all the Alien Swarm characters, he is the most different so far.
I order you to stay away from her.
You can't break plumber ranks.
Yes, you can, Gwen. What the fuck? Y'all three were practically vigilantes for like the first season of the show. And even then, they kind of just do their own thing. Granted, they do follow plumber protocol and they do accept missions from Max, but like, I don't know. I just feel like Gwen wouldn't be immediately siding with Max right here. She would kind of be in the middle.
Don't let him do this. Kevin, stop him.
Although if you look at it from outside the context of the show, I do think this scene does a great job defining how all of the character stances are on this situation. It's just hard not to compare because it is based on very well-established characters, but for what it is, I do like this cast of people. It's just very different from the show. I always thought that was so cool, how they meet up in the middle like this. Oh yeah, and we get to see him in the official Alien Swarm jacket right now. Hold on one second. There we go. I'm ready now. His is a lot more muted than mine. Mine is pretty bright.
What about your Gramps?
I like how her helmet has all these floral patterns on it.
Nice bike.
This Max is really...
Can you imagine Grandpa Max riding a motorcycle? Can a 15-year-old have a motorcycle license? At least where I live here in Massachusetts, you have to be 16 and a half. But in certain states, you can have a permit as young as 14. Oh, here's Max's model train set. Never noticed that before either.
Elena was Ben's first crush.
What about Kai, though? He was 10.
So you just came in here and opened up his personal files.
Maybe that was his plan all along. He only seemed to side with Max in front of Ben because Max was there, but once he's gone, Kevin's being Kevin.
What did they say?
And Gwen, too. Wow. Way to throw Ben under the bus, though.
I can figure out the password.
Break the code.
Yes, our tests are all complete.
I like the voice filter they use for him.
Time for you to give us your money.
Don't you know this is a bad part of town?
These guys look like they're from an entirely different movie. Jeez, would you look at that? He goes right into the neck. Yeah, the chips definitely have the best CG out of everything in this film. That was weird. The little whoosh right there. They're either merging two shots here, or just speeding up the transition between this. They've been driving all night, seems. More motorcycle shots. Look at them go. Holy shit, it's still going. Oh boy.
I followed him one night to this place.
Elena's very good at following people.
That's a good girl. He can't help you now.
He's got himself a whole crew. I think it's dope that they both have leather jackets. The red and green look real nice.
To the final staging area.
What's he doing here?
He was studying the chips.
Elena, these notes?
You know, I think I've used this font before, but these aren't just notes. These are like vectored and printed. Victor must be pretty good with Adobe Illustrator. Seeing this photo makes me wish we see these characters portrayed outside of the main plot of the movie. I feel like all these actors can do such a great job with the characters, but this movie is so exposition heavy and serious, you don't really get to see a chance for them to shine. This whole movie is straight about the mission, with no downtime.
Looks like your dad had business with ship.
So this one's being shipped to New York from Georgia. If you look at that, it says Hello Kitty Boulevard, although the date does say 2009, so at least this movie definitively takes place in 2009, the same year it came out, of course.
Freak from the drop. Do you know who that is?
I have no idea.
Who are you? What do you want?
Alright, that line to read was a little flat. Yeah, that CG looks really good. Oh, this shape, I can't tell if it's Big Chill or Nanomech. Like if the Omnitrix already started making Nanomech. But look at this, see. The Omnitrix looks like it would be really cool if they just focused on it and gave us a better picture of it. Nice hook, Ben. That's a pretty slow fall, though. You could tell he's on wires. I wonder if it would look better if I sped it up. Yeah, that looks more realistic.
No!
Good thing they're walking very slowly.
Maybe I can redirect the scan back at the chips. I got it!
How does Ben know how to do that? It's kind of reminiscent of the SDM feedback from Soto, but Ben was never able to program his Omnitrix to do so. Yeah, fuck that guy in particular.
I thought you said he's been missing for weeks. This was dated today.
Oh, it was dated today specifically? What did it say again? That looks like a 1. Or it could be a 2. I think you can see a squiggle. Something 20 something. I can't tell if that's a 1 or a 2. I know later on they do say February, but time could have passed. So it's early 2009.
Those chips, they're a threat.
That is a lie!
Why doesn't Max want to believe him? He is like so unempathetic and very stubborn. This is as far from Max as you can get.
They're coming for us all.
You're gonna have to do better than that, Victor.
Validus was like his prized pupil.
Well, then perhaps Max should have given him the benefit of the doubt and looked into what Victor was saying. If Max trained Victor himself, and then Victor is saying that these chips are a threat, that means Victor's coming to this conclusion based on the skill set that Max gave him. So does that not carry any weight to Max?
Analysis of all target locations.
It's a ship and distribution center.
So Ben and Elena, and then Gwen and Kevin both did completely different things and came to the same conclusion that it's all sourced at the Ship-It Center. So I'm not sure if it was a good thing that they split up or not. Maybe they just didn't want to have to worry about Gwen and Kevin participating in that fight. Because with Ben, they can knock the CG down by saying, oh, the Omnitrix isn't working, but they can't nerf Gwen and Kevin too much, so they gotta store them in the lab. But now they get a chance to shine.
It's open, huh?
You can also vaguely see that his hand is covered in stone right here. So Kevin has absorbed rust, metal, and stone so far, whereas Gwen has created projectiles, shields, and tracking. So we're getting a pretty diverse use out of their powers.
Remind me why we drove all the way out here again?
I love the idea of Kevin in a beanie. Oh, she uses her tracking a lot. This should be much more pink, though. I'm gonna take a wild guess. I think they did the CG for her magic first and then did all of the blue color grading, and thus that's why I got affected by it. Because this looks like it was pink, but like slightly altered. Or just for some reason they didn't make it pink.
They were here, Kev. We're too late.
Yeah, that's what I get too.
Love that joke.
London, Paris, Shanghai, these orders originated from this location.
Hold on. This date says it was shipped out in March. So was that a 3 I was seeing back then? I really couldn't tell. I was assuming it was a 1 or a 2. And it seems like they're all originating from Georgia. So this must be where they are right now. With the Ship-It Center only being an hour away from their current location. And of course the Plumber base out of universe being based on the Georgia Aquarium. Perhaps in Alien Swarm, Bellwood is located in Georgia. Whereas in the show, the biggest contenders were either California or New York. But I mean, fucking who cares where Bellwood is at this point?
Man,
May I help you? Please return during regular business hours.
Your desire.
Oh, here we get a wood material, but only for a few seconds. It seems like the skin itself is gaining the wood texture before it gets the coloring of the wood, which supports what I said earlier about the skin changing, rather than just getting a coating. Although the mask does overlap the sleeve in some frames, but still great detail. Look at the little holes in the wood.
Supersede this.
This looks like it could have been a prop. I'm not sure if all of Kevin's stuff is CG. No, he's back.
That's new. They couldn't form solid shapes before.
Come on, not the glass.
Spike time. Them blending the shot of this car, zooming into Kevin driving. That actually came out pretty well.
And faster.
Would have been nice to have some type of exterior visual for that. At the bare minimum, some flames shooting out of the back of his car or something. Look at this phone. Nothing wrong with it, just kind of shows you what time period this was made in. Now this scene coming up right here, there's a lot of behind the scenes clips and such of them doing this. You can find them right here on YouTube. Apparently it was very lucky for them to have the car land completely upright after their one try. I'll link all of them down below.
I don't know who's behind all this, but they're gonna fix my car!
That's the most emotion Kevin shows this whole movie. So at least from an animation standpoint, you could tell that these spikes aren't piercing through the frame of the ball, but are in fact one single object that they stretch to make it appear as if it's growing. So you can see the texture of these things being stretched too as it grows. Oh, another material. Kevin's got whatever this barrel is made of. He absorbs a lot more in this movie than I recognize too. It's just the full body absorbing. He doesn't seem to do a lot. Humongosaur. Another fantastic transformation. It always starts with the legs and goes from the ground up, gains his dinosaur tail, and quickly morphs into Humongosaur. Nice shot of the Omnitrix right here. Now, Humongosaur does look pretty good. The aliens in this film look a lot better than they did in Race Against Time, but you still don't get that many clear shots of them. Although it looks like he has some injuries on him, or at least some irregular cracks and fragmentation of his outer armor. I do wish he talked though. For some reason Humongosaur doesn't talk in the movie, but he does do his grow ability. Now that's something I wouldn't have believed they would try to attempt, but I really appreciate that they do it. This doesn't quite look the best, but hey, we're getting some true Ben 10 gimmicks here. Although he doesn't look that big. Usually his full size is a good 60 feet or so. This looks maybe like 25, 30. I wonder if Humongosaur can even like choose to not go full size and only grow a little bit. Here's a pretty clear shot of Humongosaur's face. Eyes looking very reptilian. Pretty good expressions too. Like Humongosaur looks great in this film. But yeah, I do wish he talked and, you know, he could have been a little bit more brown. He's a bit too Godzilla-like for me. See, even when light shines on him, you can see he's much more of a dull gray texture than straight up brown. I love the rotating sphere blades or whatever. It's probably my favorite build of theirs. Okay, no, that thing's cooler. Aw, Ben. It's crazy how just pure physical damage can do something to the chips. You'd think they'd be able to reform and such, but I guess if you hit them hard enough, that's it for them. This was a neat transition. Well, yeah, that's pretty much all the familiar action you get from the aliens. You get like 2-minute scenes of Big Chill and Humongosaur, and you do get Nanomech, but we're not familiar with him, so that's basically it for the aliens in this movie. Which I'm not gonna lie, it's disappointing.
Didn't Elena just lead you into a nest of techno-organic zombies?
Yeah, by trying to investigate the disappearance of her father. It's like these characters are bending over backwards trying to twist everything Elena does into something horrible. Like, she's on your side. Y'all are fighting it too hard now.
I trust her.
This is an all points alert. Escalating incidents of an unidentified... Bitte, wir erfahren ausländische Tätigkeit.
So apparently this guy's German accent was so bad they had to call him out on the wiki.
Nötigen jetzt Hilfe. Wir bitten zum Hilfe.
The chips valve to still have become active.
These things were nothing more than extraterrestrial hardware.
And now he's upset that he was wrong. It's like the only emotion he feels is anger.
Burrowing into people and taking over their mind.
Oh, got away.
Just like my father said.
Father's tinkering probably activated him somehow.
He is so in denial. Max, just admit that you were wrong.
The queen.
The infected people.
I really like Elena's top.
Insect colony?
There's only one queen.
How do you destroy a hive?
Oh, it looks like it says something too. Naughty, nice. Okay, I see what you're doing there, costume department.
We have to find the queen. The queen dies, the hive dies.
Oh, and the back of it has some type of like angel wing pattern too. Sorry, I'm just really digging this shirt.
I don't want her going 2 feet without an escort.
Oh my god, Max, you've already been proven wrong. Why are you still being a dick? Oh, and the chip got into Max. Would have been dope if they got Cooper or something to come in and just track down the nano-chipped queen, even if it's just for one scene.
I didn't ask to get stuck with this.
Yes, fuck yeah. Oh, but it's so dark. I just want to see what it looks like, come on.
Max, we need help with a map analysis.
I know that it's nighttime, but like they're all still there. Why do they have the lights off? My god, that face. Gotta smack him with a computer monitor too, ouch.
But be careful.
Now Kevin absorbs rubber. It was also kind of smart of him to absorb rubber to knock out Max so it's less of an impact. Like if he absorbed metal or concrete, that probably would have just killed him. In fact, rubber probably softened the blow than if it was a regular fist too.
Max!
We're fine. Never better. It's finished.
So is this button's sole purpose to release smoke? It's one hell of a trick. It looks like he disappeared in one shot too. Yeah, he might as well have. He just got up and ran. It's a fast old man. Gwen could probably track his mana, right? Yeah? No? Yeah? No? No?
The World Distribution Center for Ship It. Sounds like we're in for a road trip. What do you mean, we?
How are they still against Elena at this point? Like, what the fuck?
Kev's car out of commission.
Oh, right. I forgot all about this part.
I made this for your birthday present.
Oh, hey, Ed's wearing a blue one now.
My birthday was 2 months ago.
Latest date we've seen is March, so is his birthday in January in this movie then?
Can't rush genius.
Also, Kevin and Gwen are in their season 3 outfits now. Maybe placing this movie between those seasons. This seems like a late addition to the film though. I wouldn't be surprised if like, once they decided to give them different outfits in the show, they like hurried together to try to do it in the film too. But I love it, like the attention to detail like that is something admirable. Was it always this turquoise?
It's beautiful.
She's beautiful. You call a car a she.
Kevin's very adamant about those pronouns. Really makes the line
You have to treat a car like you treat a woman.
make more sense in his perspective.
Well, the weapons and defense systems aren't online yet.
Kind of teasing something to come, right? Actually, did Ben's car ever have any weapons and defense systems in the show? I can't remember. I think his car was just a car. So this car is apparently a Mazda RX-8, which has been discontinued since 2012. Remember that Kevin's car giveaway though? Xander Flicks did a video on it. I kind of feel like I would have rather had this car. This car is dope. Here it comes. This movie got me into There for Tomorrow back in the day. Not just this one, a little faster. Wish You Away, Pages, Stories. They got some pretty good songs. While there is a music video for this, it's actually just an edited version of their original music video for the song. They just took all the parts that had to do with the true narrative of the song and then spliced in some Ben 10 clips. But yeah, go listen to There for Tomorrow. They got some good shit. Oh, they actually use an instrumental version for here. Gotta have those car shots.
Sorry, in February.
February, see, I remember they said February, yet they had dates for March. Because everything lines up except for that one that said March, but like, let's just ignore that one. But also, that does make more sense as 2 months ago was December, which is the most commonly accepted time that Ben's birthday was. A lot of this was done in CG too. There is a lot of CG that went into this movie. It's just, you know, alien transformations.
It's like a small army. Probably 6 billion. How many people there are on Earth?
In 2009. Now there is 7.753 billion. That was pretty good to blend the truck driving by into a wipe transition.
Like a human assembly line. That's Victor Validus.
Seems like the chips are being produced from outside of his body. Like his body is the source of them being born.
You said you didn't know that guy.
I don't. That's not my dad. He's become some kind of freak.
Oh, okay, alright, so I get it. So she's saying it wasn't her dad because it's not mentally her dad. But I mean, it kind of literally is. Like, that is sketchy, Elena. That is a fault towards Elena. She should have just told them, yeah, they're using my dad or whatever. But to just straight up say that's not her dad just because she doesn't have that emotional connection to this guy, that really fucks with the operation. Plus, it doesn't really matter if it was him or not. Like, we as the audience pretty much knew it was him the entire time, so this isn't even like a grand reveal or anything. Because for the characters, it doesn't change the fact that this is him or not, because the operation would be the same, and we already knew the entire time, so why even keep it a secret? Absorbing metal again. Here you can barely see it though.
The chips are controlling him just like Max.
I had to lie. I knew you'd react like this.
I mean, it's kind of obvious that the father is a victim of the chips though, right? Like, they've seen firsthand that the chips also change how a person's thinking and feeling. It happened to Max right in front of them. So really, like, why does it matter that it's Victor? Why? It's not like Victor is doing this intentionally, and they shouldn't hold anything against how they feel about Elena, or even Victor himself, because it's the chips. This is just fucking nonsense. R.L. Stevens. I wonder if that means anything.
The queen is inside of my dad.
Title of your sex tape.
Destroy him, destroy the queen.
I really like this thing too. What is it called? A cardigan?
What do we do if Alien X or Humongosaur gets absorbed by the hive?
I remember I was thrown through a loop when I heard her name drop Alien X in a live action movie. I gotta say, the lore cuts for this film, they work for me. I don't care. They work for me.
Remember when the Omnitrix scanned the chip's DNA?
I can fight them from the inside if I become one of them.
And they're using the Omnitrix's DNA scanning feature. A lot of good stuff in here. This movie gets too much flack.
You may become a permanent slave to the hive.
That's a very solid point.
It always has to be your way, just like walking out on the plumbers.
Y'all hacked the plumber system. You deliberately disobeyed Max as well. You just did it in private so people can't give you shit for it. Swampfire, Echo Echo. There it is. There's my boy.
What?
They beat Ant-Man to it. It's neat how he first shrinks down before he transforms. Perhaps because this is the first time the Omnitrix is really registering the transformation. But I've always liked how this looks. Starts off with the chest forming around, little pieces of metal coating him. You can see his hand is already starting to transform into Nanomech's hand before it even reaches his other one. And we get the inner workings of how this creature is built. This piece of metal folds over. And right here we get a CG mold of Ryan's head. Probably built with a lot of photos taken of him. But it's only shown for a few seconds, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But honestly, this isn't that bad. It's the facial expression that gives it away that it's CG, but you know, for like less than a second of screen time, really does the job. See, you would never know. You would never know. You don't even see the eyes for more than 3 frames. But look, they do close together as if they are blending into one big eye, like the eyes are pushing into it.
Nanomech. I like it.
So Nanomech here is voiced by Alex Winter, which is a pretty significant role in this film. In Race Against Time, he was Constantine Jacobs, which was like, you know, more than a cameo, but still not quite a supporting role. But here, Alex gets to voice the main hero that saves the day. Good for him. I don't really mind his design either. It's pretty busy. And I'd say Ultimate Alien did translate it pretty well. Omniverse kind of did its own thing, as did we in 5YL, but you can't beat this look. So 2 powers we've seen so far are flight and shrinking, as he has the power of adaptation, so he can constantly improve himself to adapt to his surroundings. Some shots are better than others, like this shot right here looks really good for him. There he goes, zooming right in through the nose. Now he's inside of him. You know, I felt like it was so hard to tell what was going on when I first saw this, but I also think it's just because TV was a much lower quality. But this, it looks pretty clear so far, I can see.
Must obey.
The queen right here is voiced by Wendy Cutler.
You're one of us now, Ben Tennyson.
And she seems to know exactly who Ben is. She's got a pretty dope design too. I like this. Now he shoots out little zaps. Oh shit, mana platforms. I forgot she does this in the film too. That sound effect sounded like it was straight from the show. All the other ones are just standing around watching her, letting her run away. And stone. Kevin's got a lot of materials now. I'll count out how many he ends up with at the end when I'm done editing, but I haven't been counting so far. And a full body one too. Yes, there's Stone Kevin, probably your only clear shot of him. And of course he unabsorbs for like no reason.
You're different from these other drones.
Okay, so the shots themselves are pretty readable, but it's the constant cutting between everything that makes the action hard to follow. Watch this.
You're different from these other drones.
See, I can barely tell what the fuck's going on. She's climbing through his body. Nanomech's shooting out his beams.
I'm just not ready for a serious commitment.
But what about Julie, man? Come on.
Die.
So she does this cool tentacle attack thing. And does like a bunch of surges of electricity spiraling at him. That actually looks really cool. Gwen should be creating like a mana shield or something right now. They're all just standing there. At least have them running away.
I'm not just any drone. I'm half drone, half human.
Alright, see, so the most significant thing about Nanomech is he is half drone, half human, which is something that's carried over into Ultimate Alien and even Omniverse. So I highly disagree with Mr. Wyatt's opinion that Nanomech isn't actually half human, because that's the one thing that gives him the edge over the nanochips and allows him to resist her control. It's very important that he is half human.
Drones can adapt.
And see, now he mimics her little tentacle lightning orb things.
Humans never give up.
She couldn't handle her own power. I don't know what this is though. Like the chips inside of them being returned? Looks like energy though. Oh no, I guess it is the chips. Just kind of looks like energy. Oh, gross. And he's returned to normal. Good for you, Vic. And all of a sudden, there's sunlight.
Elena!
He's alright! What am I, chopped liver? Hello, I just saved the world again.
Again, so this comes after Hybrid. But like that one line is like them trying to seed in Ben's new personality too. It really feels like the second half of this film was written to be more in line with season 3. Whereas the first half of the film was the much darker, more mystery feeling of seasons 1 and 2.
Sorry, Victor.
No, Max. It wasn't right to go it alone.
No, what? Victor was begging for Max's help in all of those interrogation flashbacks. He had no choice but to go in alone. So it's not even like they're both at fault, so therefore they both have to admit their mistakes or anything. Max was 100% in the wrong and should have trusted Victor. Victor, don't even try to share some of the blame so Max feels better. You did what you had to do.
Ben, modest, impossible.
Yeah, lines like that, you know, trying to imply that Ben's his season 3 self now, but there was so much shooting done with seasons 1 and 2, it was too late.
What did you mean when you said we're a great team?
Holy fuck, Gwen.
I'm now Red. I earned my place.
Sound of things to come.
I wish. It would have been dope if Elena became a supporting character. I don't mind what they did with her in Ultimate Alien, but I really like the Alyssa Diaz version of the character. Like, she would have been a great supporting character. Someone to ground them back into the plumber's business. Maybe even replace Julie as the love interest since they butcher that relationship. But, no. You know, this song was in Breaking Bad. I love this ending credit sequence though. It's very dope. Say what you want about these films, but the fact that Ben 10 got 2 live-action movies in of itself is a really dope fact, and they're really not that bad movies. I feel like everyone's standards are always through the roof now because of the online culture we have, but they're still pretty great. Although the plot of it, I'm still just gonna give it a 3. It's kind of just an average Ben 10 story. It's done in live action, so they're able to approach it with a new angle, but on paper, it's just another Ben 10 adventure. Although my biggest problem with it is the whole thing relies on Max being an asshole. If only he listened to Vic, in which he should have, but also it's just so unlike Max's character to be that sternly unsympathetic. Like, you'd think after a while Max would eventually want to listen to reason. And like I was saying throughout the breakdown, I really do wish we got more aliens. The budget was spread all over the place trying to cover the main trio's powers, the animation of the chips, all of the different sets and all of that, so I get that like there was a lot of money spent on this movie, but I would have dialed some of it back to give us at least one more alien, or if anything, extend the alien scenes longer. But I do like how Gwen and Kevin got to use their powers in some different ways throughout this film. And the nanochips were a pretty creative villain for Ben 10. Gives us something different to deal with. Although we didn't have much of their origin or whatever, they were kind of just, oh, we're evil chips and we're gonna take over the world. It was more about the characters trying to find the truth about the chips rather than the chips themselves. Like, if you really try to think about it from the chips perspective, they get even less development than classic Vilgax. I think we could have gotten some more scenes with the nanochip queen. She kind of just appeared out of nowhere. I honestly wonder if that was a rewrite or something because of how tacked on at the end it is, but even if it wasn't, I feel like we just should have gotten more about the chips. But with just over an hour of runtime, there was a lot of ground to cover in this film, so I understand that. Although since Ben and Elena's adventure, plus Kevin and Gwen's hacking and whatever, pretty much led to the same conclusion, if they all work together, you can cut an entire scene, pick one or the other, whichever one you feel is more interesting, and then use that scene to give us, you know, another alien or maybe some downtime to help flesh out the characters more. Because also, like I said earlier, so much of this movie is dedicated towards exposition. I feel like we really don't get to know these versions of the characters that well, so we're just supposed to fill in the blanks with the cartoon versions of themselves. But nonetheless, I still feel like the characterization deserves a 3. The actors did what they could with the script, and I liked their portrayals. Maybe a little more enthusiasm on some line deliveries here and there, but the whole vibe of the movie was to be very realistic and serious serious, so I get them trying to reflect that, but there could have been some more lighthearted moments. There was dialogue of teasing and lightheartedness, but the performances still just tried to keep that stern, grounded vibe. I have an infinite amount of problems with Max that we just really don't need to get into. I mean, you could probably piece it together. Although Elena, I do think, was a great addition to the cast, and although she returns in the series, it's not like the version that we've seen in the movie, but I enjoyed her here. Same with Victor. I feel like we could have gotten a lot more from him. Granted, he was possessed the entire time, so it's kind of like the same issue with Hawkeye in the first Avengers. Due to him being under mind control, you don't get to know the character that well, but you can see the potential for there to be something there. So yeah, aside from Max, I don't have a problem with any of the characters. I just wish we got more out of them, and I wish they felt more like the cartoon versions of themselves, like how Race Against Time was a pretty well adaptation of the classic characters. This one felt more like a reinterpretation, but not a terrible one. Visuals, I'm gonna keep handing out those threes. The aliens looked great. A lot of the CG really does hold up. Some of the visual effect issues more have had to do with the compositing rather than the actual CG models, but also nothing was in focus that much either, so if it did look bad, you couldn't tell. We never got a clear shot of any of the aliens out of the shadows. We never got a clear shot of the Omnitrix. Kevin would always immediately unabsorb his armor. Gwen never did anything big with her magic, like her big spheres or whatever. And from a filmmaking standpoint, all of the vehicle scenes with the cars and the motorcycles looked great, but from a Ben 10 standpoint, I'm not watching this film to see a bunch of cars driving around. I want to see some aliens. But the costumes were great. I will forever and always show off my authentic movie replica of the jacket, and I really like how they did the season 3 outfit switch for Gwen and Kevin in the second half. Nanomech, he has a cool design, a little bit too busy to be memorable, but I did like him. But similar to the first 2 seasons, everything was just too dark at times, and that ending fight between Nanomech and the Queen was like unfollowable. Importance, I'm gonna give it a 3. Part of it because it is the second and final live action Ben 10 movie, but also many elements of this movie does come back in Ultimate Alien, as it exists in a pseudo continuity where the important things come back, but the beat for beat details are different. Like Ben getting his new car, Ben unlocking Nanomech, Elena comes back, her dad comes back, the chips come back, and also it's still frequently talked about in the fandom, so. And entertaining, I'll give it a 4. Lots of pros, lots of cons with the film, but it's a pretty great ride. I like everything they were trying to do. I kind of miss the lightheartedness that the first movie tried to do, whereas the first movie really tried to capture the essence of Ben 10, whereas this film just took Ben 10 elements and put them in the real world. Although for the most part, it does kind of work. Could have used a longer runtime and a bigger budget, but I'm pretty satisfied with it. So that leaves Alien Swarm off at a 16 out of 25. Maybe one day we'll get that theatrical adaptation, and hopefully get a full 10 aliens in a Ben 10 movie. Now, for those of you that did see the Diamond Bolt video, it became a pretty big meme the past couple of years of how many car shots are in this film. So when doing this breakdown, I thought it would be fun to try clipping together every single car shot in this film in a video compilation I've uploaded on the Rust Bucket. So I actually been trying to put this video together for like 2 days now, and it keeps getting copywritten struck whenever I put it on the Rust Bucket, even when I put like excessive filters and audio in it. And it's not just unmonetizable, it's completely blocked where I can't even have it uploaded regardless. So unfortunately, I can't show this video as of now. But I will let you know that the total amount of car shots in the film amount to 8 minutes and 30 seconds out of the 104 minutes and 35 second runtime, making 7.954009583133369% of the film car shots, or roughly 8%. And yeah, the only real final thoughts I have of this film is I do wish it was more in line with Ben 10. This film seemed like it wanted to play it safe for general audiences, but they played it almost too safe. Like Race Against Time gave us some fun stuff like the gray matter scene and a lot of supporting characters like Doris, Ed, and Ben's parents, and a new villain that seemed right at home in the Ben 10 world. Whereas this one, it was missing the charisma of the characters in the world of Ben 10. Here's a fun fact though, Nanomech's working name was Ben Chip, although Nanomech is a much better name. Taking a look at last week's poll, 60% of you were in favor of Chromastone having his own planet. Honestly, I'm more content with Sugilite being a unique species rather than having the home planet of Morotesi, but as we can see with the poll, I'm in the minority here. For this week's poll, let's keep it simple. Which Ben 10 movie is your favorite? I was debating about including Ben 10 versus the Universe in this poll because I haven't done a breakdown of it yet, but I figured I'd include it anyway since it does count as a Ben 10 movie. So let me know in the community tab when this video goes live. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and as always, keep it fizzy.